Hello everyone. My name is Sahar from Tech Immigrants, and welcome to another live session. Today we have a special guest, and I'm also with Dennis. So, Dennis, could you please introduce yourself and our guest?
Yes, hello everybody. This is Dennis Holmgren, former guest of Tech Immigrants and now current host of Tech Immigrants. Today, I would like you all to meet Jacob Lind, a game art expert. Jacob Lind is an art director at Thunderful Malmö. He's got a decade of experience in art as a game art educator at the Game Assembly School and as an art director. As art director, he shapes projects ensuring top visual quality and a motivated team. Join us to learn from his expertise in art and gaming. Welcome, Jacob.
Hi guys,
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jacob.
great to see you.
Nice to see you, man.
Good.
Yeah, beautiful introduction as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. So, welcome to the Tech Immigrants webinar. I have
Thank
some
you.
questions for you.
Mm,
And the first question is basically your career journey and a brief trajectory of it. Could you take us
mm,
through your journey and give us a brief career trajectory that led you to becoming a game artist?
mm. Cool. Um, yeah, I'm born in Sweden in a city called Örebro. Went there, like the whole school, my like the basic school education in Sweden. Örebro is like 2 hours from Stockholm to the west. That would be sort of my geographical background. Um, Directly after what in Sweden is called gymnasium, I was about 18 years of age. I went to art schools, like learning to paint and draw. And my ambition was to become like a painting artist or a sculptor or something like that. So I went to one school in my hometown, my birth city, and then I went to Finland and studied there for a year at another art school, um, focusing on painting. And after that, I went to university or academy in Holland, in Amsterdam, that is called the Gerrit Rietveld Academy, um, and studied there for 2 years. Fine arts and sculpting and modern media, and this was like early 2000s. So like game educations as we see them today didn't exist at that point at the time, and that wasn't my main goal. I wanted to make art and beautiful things and learn crafts and stuff like that. Moved back to Stockholm, went to the Royal Art Academy for 1 year, and then I tried to make myself a living as an exhibiting artist, like making exhibitions and selling paintings and stuff like that. Um, but being, yeah, for you who know, it's a tough life. You have like to live on low expectations and stuff like that. But during my education in Stockholm, I had a friend who went to the Finnish art school, who started studying at something called Nakademin in Stockholm, learning 3D and talking about Maya, and it dawned on me that it was like a thing that you could do. So jumping forward a few years, I came across an ad in the newspaper that was showing that there was a new type of education, for me at least, that was focusing on becoming a game developer. And the school was called the Game Academy at the time. I applied there and got accepted and started the following spring or fall. And then the school had changed the name to the Game Assembly due to legal reasons. For there was something already existing called the Game Academy. And I studied there, and it was like, yeah, a hand fitting in a glove. I got to work with other people from other professional areas and other talented people working within in other areas, and also got to push my interest for playing games into like actually being one who might be able to do one at some time. And after that, I during this education, we might get back to that. The game assembly is quite a special school if you are not familiar with the Swedish educational system. It might be like a thing that doesn't exist where you're from. But in Sweden, it's a 2.5 year program, and part of that is to make your internship at the company. And one of the goals there is like if you do well, you get to continue your journey within that company as an employee, as a junior employee. And my journey started at the company called Record, who made mobile games and other things as well. So I worked there for a couple of years, and then the game assembly showed up again when my former teacher and present colleague Danny Antivalidis had decided to move away from his position at the game assembly and asked me to apply for his role, and I did, and I got accepted, and that was the start of a 9-year-old journey, 9-year-long journey as educator in game art and game game art, and also the development process of creating games. And yeah, like mentioned, well, didn't mention it, but 1 year ago I changed direction again and became an art director at Thunderful, a game company in Sweden and other countries.
Thank you very much. So you could say that your journey into the gaming industry was not like something you planned. It was a bit more like pure chance.
Opportunities came along the way, yes.
Yes.
It wasn't straight at all. No.
No straight journey.
No. No. I guess like many of my students have been going directly from like public school educations and then directly to the game assembly and then directly out into the industry as professionals, like way before you have had any other work experience, and which is awesome because then you can really like fulfill your goals as soon as possible when being young and in a hurry to get somewhere. This didn't exist when I started, and I wasn't really sure about my ambition. I wanted to create things, and exactly what wasn't really clear.
Got
Yeah,
it.
Jacob, I have also a question. So
Sure.
you said you were not sure about your ambition. So how did you recognize, okay, do you really want to pursue your career and your education in art industry? And I want to also know what was your parents' role at this situation, because basically it's common, it's natural in my country that parents, they usually don't let the children to pursue art. They always want their children to be either doctor or engineer, which is also was my case. My parents never let me to go in art school, but I
No.
want to know how your parents are like helping you, and how did you decide to like choose art for your
Yeah.
career?
Yeah, I know that it is a privilege to have parents to sort of support you and help you in whatever you choose to do with your life. There was, of course, a discussion like they wanted. The only discussion I had with my father about my career or my work life in the future was it's kind of a unique story, but yeah, I can take a short draft of it. Both my parents are deaf, so they can't hear. So we use sign language to communicate. So my father wanted me to become an interpreter for in sign language. That was the only thing that he asked. Like, maybe you could do this, and I said no. I want to be an artist. So, and he was like, yeah, okay, good luck. And he left me at it. I mean, he could have. I guess he could have wished me to become. But I think they focused on me being happy and doing what I wanted, and then it'll sort out somehow. I think that could also be this. Maybe in Sweden there's like an idea of like you'll manage somehow. There, like, you can have a safe and happy life without pursuing a career within any in any, what would you call it, advanced or higher educational paths. Did I answer both your questions? I'm not sure.
For the second part, actually, I was wondering, did you try to like pursue another passion, then you make a decision, okay, that's what I really want, or like directly from the beginning you knew you want to be an artist?
Yeah, yeah, I was very stubborn as a 19, 18-year-old. Like, art is the only thing that makes sense for me to do. If I cannot do that, I can do whatever. I could wash dishes or whatever, take care of old people. I don't care. If I can do art, I can just do whatever. So I was very like, mm, yeah, single-mindedly aiming towards like developing my skills and my ideas of creating things. Mm, Eventually it became, the interest became more like focused on the craft than the communication part of art, like to create exhibition experiences and stuff like that was super fun, but I sort of wanted to apply it more, and I guess that game art would be an applied art form, because you do it to serve a certain purpose and you serve an audience and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a difference than to be like a rock star doing your, like, expecting you to have an audience who pays your bills. Um, um, Many people can do that, and I encourage anyone who wants to go that path. But it can be tough and it can be hard to survive. So you need to do some compromises on the way.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to face reality, the reality of getting by financially and
Yeah,
choosing a career that you can actually make a living in.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But still, I can encourage people to take whatever path they want, because all the jobs you have, all the experiences you gather, if you're not completely hurt or broken down, will make you stronger and teach you lessons in life, and make you humble in any situation that you would end up later on in life.
Got it. So I would like to move on a bit to your current position,
Hmm.
a day in the life of an art director at Thunderful Malmö. Could you
Yep.
provide insights into your daily routine as an art director, and what
Mhm.
are your typical tasks and responsibilities that you handle in your role?
Yeah, sure. Um, this is I It's good that you say at Thunderful, because our studio are not even working in the exact same ways as another Thunderful studio. This can depend on the size. So we are about, let's see, so I don't get it wrong, we're 8 people doing art at this studio, right? So we have an art lead, 3D artists, 2D artists, tech artists, and an animator, and me. So my role in uh, this group is to make sure that there is coherent style in the art. Um, it's also my role to make sure that everybody has the things they need uh, um, to be like, if you need to educate someone in some area, you make sure that they get the resources they need to do that. Um, you also encourage and guide people through the processes and their own tasks that they're dealing with, mm, and you also sort of entertain and create the way the game is going to look in the end, and make
Got it.
sure that everybody follows um, that direction.
Got it. Is it your job as well to coach and teach junior artists and new hires?
Yeah, I would say I'm not having lessons in that sense, but if there is something lacking, we're talking about it, and to find ways to make sure that they have what they need to perform on the to the quality that we require.
Got it, got it. So it's a bit of a like a talent development at the
Yeah,
studio. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can sort of, as an employee, you can make requests of things you want to learn, and we can sort of, um, if it's like applicable to your role, and if it benefits your future performance, that will be a thing that we put on the priority.
Got it, got it. So when it comes to hiring new talent, do
Mm.
you usually hire people out of the game assembly as interns, or do you try to possibly poach more senior or intermediate talent?
Mm. Mm. At at my position right now at Thunderful, we have a an HR department that are sort of, we can make requests to the HR department, and they can put an ad on our site, and as a person who wants to apply for the job, you can just go through the website and fill out the form, and see if you can find friends that already works there to ask for recommendations and stuff. You
Got
can
it.
offer, of course, you can like find. Our ambition is to also like look at what the game assembly has, when the students, or also there are other similar educations around the world. So we sort of look for like portfolios and stuff that goes in line with what we are looking for, with the position we're trying to fill.
Ah,
We
got
try
it.
to look all over the place, and like, how do you have a friend who's doing this? That's the first step, and then we make a proper ad, and then we ask them to apply for the job through the application process.
Got it, got it. But it's often referrals then in that case from employees at the studio.
Many times it is, yes.
Mm.
I think that kind of works all over the field. Um, I think personal recommendations are both fortunately and unfortunately a very important thing. If somebody can vouch for you, that's a really um, strong motivation for anyone to even review your portfolio or your application, um, with like take a second thought, and um, take a second look at it.
Mm, got it, got it. So, do you have only Swedish citizens as employees, or have you also done some international hiring?
Yes, I haven't been part of the recruitment process myself at this time. I've been recommending colleagues and friends, and also reviewed. Yeah, well, I have actually been part of. Never mind. I've been part of a couple of interviews for positions at our office, but um, I'm sorry, I lost the question. Um,
No, the question was basically if it's just Swedish citizen at the studio, or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if you have also done some international hiring,
yeah.
like from
Yeah,
Europe, outside Europe.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We have colleagues from, I don't want to point out what, yeah, we're quite, we have quite a good coverage actually of the planet. We have South Americans, African, South African people, and from Belgium,
Mm.
and in overall in Thunderful, it's kind of generic, like a lot of Swedish citizens from the start, yes, but there is a lot of internationals as well, and also in Thunderful, like the whole company are acquiring studios in England and Germany as well, so we have connections there as well.
Got it. So, I would like to get a little bit deeper into the aspects of the Swedish gaming industry.
Mhm.
So, could you tell me what are the defining features or characteristics that make the Swedish game development scene stand out? And how do these specific elements impact the work and careers of game artists in Sweden?
Mm. Uh, People wiser than me have been exploring like the reasons for mm, the little cold country in the up north to be such a successful, to have such a successful game industry. I think one thing is we have a cold and dark winter, so people
Mm.
sit inside for a big part of the
Yeah.
year.
It
playing games.
encourages, yeah,
Yeah,
encourages people to stay in and
playing
develop
games,
games.
making up stories about warmer countries, maybe, or also looking at things from like a viewer's perspective could be a thing. Um, an old historical thing could be that in the 80s, the Swedish government was quite keen on helping people working for the government to get their a PC at home. Um, so this could have been like a few years before most other common families got access to the machines with that you can make games with. And these people working in the in the government field had kids, and the kids were playing with the computers. So the kids got a natural connection to computers, and they started companies as soon as they could were able to, and the things they did were games. So you have
Nice.
examples, representatives from Dice, for instance, which is a big EA um, game company that are located in Stockholm, Sweden.
Yeah, they're making, for all those that don't know, they're making the Battlefield games, and I also
Yeah.
think Battlefront and at least a few others, but Battlefield for sure is their main franchise.
Yeah. Today, I would say a big part of the success story, well, it's kind of bragging, but I think the Game Assembly and Future Games and Playground Squad, all the higher vocational educations that we have, like 2.5 year educations, and then you get into the industry within like a very short amount of time, and like it's a it's a big emotional and effort and effort, what do you call it, effortful. It's a hard task to
Yes.
but it's a short amount of time that you can get into the industry and start working. Those educations have been very good because we have worked closely with the industry to take the curriculum and making sure that we teach exactly the right things that we need for our students to know to get started smoothly into the industry.
Oh yes.
So I would say that would be a part of the success story as well. You have a lot of people who wants to work with games, and if they don't get hired at the specific game company, they start their own company.
Exactly. For those that don't know, the Game Assembly is actually represented in Stockholm, Malmö, and is it Umeå as well?
No, we tried in Umeå at the time, but we let it go because Stockholm and Umeå was accepted at the same time, and that was too big of a bite for us to have, like, with the quality that we required. So we were satisfied with starting in Stockholm. That was the easiest environment to start in. But now also, like, Future Games is another educational company that are working under the authorities of higher vocational educations. It's called Yrkeshögskolemyndigheten in Swedish.
Yeah. It's basically trade school.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, something like that. It's kind of a you have the folkhögskola and stuff like that as well. But it's like it's not really university. It's like more. It started the idea of it started to sort of make sure that people could change careers midlife and get just the necessary education that they needed to have this specific profession.
Got it. Got it. So I think that we have some questions from the audience as well.
Awesome, cool.
So Sahar, why don't you take it?
Yes, sure. Priya is asking, in the game industry, do you mainly use Houdini or Max for special effects?
Yeah, good question, Poria. So this can depend on the art style of the game, of course. You might not need Houdini or Max, for instance. At the Game Assembly, this might be a long answer, but at the Game Assembly, we were using Autodesk Maya as the main 3D program, and we try to make everything happen there. But we also have a technical art education where we used Houdini later years to create effects. Max wasn't used, but it's also one of the big programs. I think there's if you know about Blender, it's a thing that is up and coming right now.
Yeah.
Last thing I heard from the Game Assembly is that they switched to Blender from Maya after 10 years or more,
After
12
10 years.
years.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's an upcoming. We're talking about the industry standard types of programs. I would say that Maya would be the program that most game 3D artists, 3D art game developers are familiar with. So you would speak sort of the same language, and the bridge between another artist would be like more like the overlap would be smoother if so that they sort of leaned on we leaned on using the most as we analyzed the industry. We found that Maya was the most popular one at the time, but I think if you want to start, you shouldn't start with Houdini because the learning curve is very steep. I think you should start with Blender or Maya or something like that, or Max, for instance.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I have a question from myself. What's your favorite game?
Ever? That's that's a good question because mm, I would say I'm right now. I can say which game I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
It's a Team 17 game called I think it's just called Dredge. You're on a boat and you are fishing, and you in the harbor you sell your catch, and eventually the night comes, and with the night there is a darkness and sort of a HP Lovecraftian uh, terror environment coming, like nightmares and stuff like that. So it's very funny. It's like a cozy fishing game in the day and a horror game in the night.
Okay.
It's very cute.
Nice.
It's very good. It's very simple and light and perfect for me who cannot spend too much time playing games because I have yeah. And I love our games. I like Thunderful are making beautiful games. That's why I apply for the position, and I'm so happy to be part of what's coming. So you have games there like I would say, yeah, the Gunk is a beautiful game. Yeah, the Steam World Series, beautiful series of games, all kinds of different types of games. You have Lost in Random, a beautiful game. I've played them all with great joy.
Thanks, Jacob. And there's also a follow-up question from Puri again that he's asking what software should they master to specialize in environment design?
So if you would be like an environment artist or a designer of worlds, I would say take a look at the engines that we have. Like there are free to download and start using engines like Unity or Unreal Engine. Take a look at those engines and look at tutorials for those and start building the worlds instantly and explore the things that you need to practice and hone the skills you need to hone to create worlds. If you want to build things, I guess Blender, if you haven't started with anything, that would be the shortest leap. It's for free as well. It's an open source program.
Yeah. The important thing is to get started.
Yeah. The more you think about how you should start, the more time it takes before you start. So just go ahead.
Yeah.
Dive into it and try it out.
Yeah. Don't overthink, guys. Just get started.
Yeah, you don't need to master anything at all, by the way. Just know enough to get you through the day, and then you save the next challenge for the next day.
Yeah. And I guess that's the problem. Because like at least for especially I guess it's more challenging for women because we really feel that we should be like 80 or 90% expert in the job that we want to apply. But I guess it's okay for guys that say, okay, if I know this and that's enough, I have the basic knowledge, and they start to apply, but I never dare to apply if I'm not fully confident that I can do the job.
It's hard. It's a very hard challenge because it might sit with you and the culture or the environment that you're in. that you have a higher bar to pass to even get hired or to even start, and that bar applies like to yourself, like you're confident, like self-confidence and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a struggle, but it's getting, I can see brightness coming up. A lot of women, more and more women are joining the industry. We're not really like 50-50, which would be ideal, but many companies are having like, yeah, like the numbers are rising. A lot of
Mm.
young talent are coming into the industry and breaking down the barriers for even for women or and all kinds of people to join.
So what's the reason? Like I see in generally there are less women in tech, but I guess in game industry it's even less. I don't know what's the reason. Is maybe the men they are not welcoming girls that okay you can
Yeah.
do the job, you are good enough, or
Mm.
what do you see as a problem that they will stop us to join game industry?
Yeah, it's I am a man, so I wouldn't. I'm not actively stopping women from coming into the industry, so I don't know. Like I don't feel what anyone who would try to do that would feel or think. So I can't explain why that happens. But um, that could be the bar. Like, oh, it's not for me. I'm just focusing on doing something else, or I pursue another career that might work for my identity or my gender. But the numbers in the game industry are rising, and at the game, when I worked at the game assembly, we tried to also like, how do we get more women to apply for the educations, because that's a start, right? So we had some initiatives to invite women to the school and inspire them and talk to them and answer questions and ask questions about games and making games, and sort of making it clear that the barrier is, you need to sort of, the first step is to break your own barrier, right? To get the confidence and courage to sort of start doing the things and inviting yourself onto the scene, because then you can talk the same language as other developers, and then you sort of can prove yourself. And if you can prove yourself, there is no reason not to hire you. Yeah, right. So I guess it could be a language, knowledge, cultural, or not cultural necessarily, but if you love games, you should just join in and make them. There's a lot of games that need to be done.
Oh yeah,
So we need all the people we can muster up.
yeah, yeah. They don't make themselves, not yet
No,
anyway.
no, true.
So let's see.
But it was a
Mhm.
challenge. So sorry, continue on the train here, but we were looking like in the younger and younger ages, because there was at some point like Swedish kids were sort of playing the same kind of games together, but um, they stopped it. Like the girls stopped at some point to for instance study programming and stuff like that, and that could be a thing mm, that like I said earlier, like boys maybe have, they are sort of brought up to sort of brush things off and not taking things too seriously and continue playing even if it hurts, and you're brought up this way, and that might be a difference between girls and boys growing up in the world, in all countries, I guess. I think, yeah, girls should also get the opportunity to make mistakes and learn while they're moving forward.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you.
Yeah.
Next question from Saya. She's asking, what is your opinion about layoffs in gaming industry? Like as in Epic Games had layoffs.
Yeah. Well, being a Swede, I'm never a big fan of big layoff things, and I think there should be like a reasonable um, amount of safety for employees, um, because we're, yeah, taking on a person that spends their time with you 8 hours a day at least. They should be taken care of by the company that they work for. and laying off a lot of people might be hurtful for the company as well. But sometimes this needs to be done. Like there can be incidents where projects are put on a shelf, or the economy might not be as expected, and you can lose a publisher or whatever, and then you need to sort of make sure that you don't pay salaries to people who have nothing to do. But I'm not a big fan of these big layoff things, and but they exist, and they are part of the game industry as well as they are part of most industries. I'm not sure what my opinion is. I don't like when people get fired for no good reasons. I want to keep them as long as possible, and it might be worth to keep someone for a longer time than maybe necessary to be loyal to your employees, to your colleagues. I think that pays back in the end.
What's yes, thanks. Go ahead. Yeah, you can go.
No. Yeah, I was just thinking that I think we should continue on this track for a bit and ask the next question. And this is effective collaboration and teamwork in Swedish Game Art studios. So the question is, successful collaboration is vital in game development. Based on your experience, what strategies and interpersonal skills are essential for game artists working in Swedish studios to excel within cross-functional teams?
Yeah, that's a good long question. I would say my experience with the game assembly, we spent a lot of time, a lot of focus on making sure that people were working together over disciplines. So we had like we had one game art education, one level design education, one programming education, one technical art education, one animation education, right? And these people had to cooperate, like being in these different branches and skill sets. We put a lot of effort into making sure that they work together. And what makes people work together, of course, you can come and tell them just to work together and make sure it works out. But there are traits that are that I recognized as being like rendering more successful collaborations. And I would say you cannot teach anyone to be curious, but being curious is a really, really good trait to hone and take care of. Make sure that you're curious of your next person. Like, what is this person? What are the skills they have? What are the interests they are entertaining? And can you learn from that? And can you like find a good communication with these people on their grounds, and also sharing your knowledge and sharing your grounds and your background with them. I think that like curiosity brings trust closer to you. And I guess, yeah, being curious would be my first shortest answer.
Yeah, well, that's a really good answer. It's important, to like your coworkers, to be friends with your coworkers, and also to help them. Try to be, be there for them.
And learn maybe what they do. Like, you don't need to be a programmer to be an artist, but the more programming you know as an artist, the easier it is for you to understand what the programmer is challenged with, and you can come up with solutions together in many ways. The more you know about the next discipline or your neighbor that is doing the same thing but from another perspective.
Got it. So we had a question here that is a little bit about this from Oria Irani. In the game industry, for which specialty the request for recruitment is more, art or programmer? And I think basically the question is, what is most in demand? Art, programmer, level design, technical art?
Yeah. There can be trends. I guess programmer would still be the mostly like most of the people actually working in industry. There are a lot of like super many artists as well. And within the art sphere, we have the different directions. You would say, I guess, when I went to the game assembly, we only had programmers and artists, right? And the artists had to do the level design and the tech art and everything, and also collaborate with the programmers who were sort of doing artsier things, but then we have like divided this in more divisions, right? So you can specialize even more. I'm not really answering the question because I don't have the statistics. I could Google them, but just go ahead and Google them.
Yeah,
um, but I would say that I think it's a big, like the two big ones are artists and programmers.
yeah. And I would say if you know both of them, then you will make a really good technical artist.
Yeah, exactly. So
You've
it's a
always said
blend.
it.
You have blends between them. So and that also becomes a professional or and a specialization.
Got it, got it. So my next question is basically about getting into these game studios.
Mhm.
So building an outstanding portfolio is critical for securing a job. How can
Mm.
aspiring game artists create portfolios that effectively showcase their skills and increase their chances of employment in the Swedish game industry?
Mm. Also a very good question. Yeah, portfolio is crucial because it displays your skills, and it also displays what you not only what you can do, but what you want to do, right? So if I look at a portfolio and this person doesn't want to do what my uh, requests are or what is logged in our in the position that we have put out, um, it's hard for me to sort of look a second time like, oh, this person is not interested in whatever we're looking for. So uh, but then this person might find the company that are looking for those skills and those interests, right? So if you're gonna make a portfolio for a certain position, make sure that you know what the company are doing. Like what kind of art styles are they exploring? What kind of positions do they have? And do you have the skills required to fill the shoes of that position?
Got it.
Um, and also this is the thing, like to make like a conscious application to a position that you are aware of the challenges that it consists. It's hard to know this before you have had a position, right? But that's one thing, to know know the art style and the requirements of the position that you're applying for, to explore the art style of the, like if you're going to create new portfolio pieces, look at the stuff that the game company has made before and try to replicate that or try to respond to that with your own skill set. But one thing, like ArtStation, for instance, you can just open ArtStation and scroll for hours for like really amazing work. How would you put yourself in that environment? Like how would your pieces end up there for display to be a popular piece? Like people have spent months or even years on certain pieces, and how to make yourself stand out in that environment. It's a huge challenge because you need the skill sets, you need the craft and the tools and whatever to create the pieces that are made. But one way to stand out, even like to the next level, is to sort of be connected to who you are and what you are, like what sets you on fire, what makes you inspired. And I would look at other environment. I wouldn't look at ArtStation and create another ArtStation piece, right? I would try to look in other spheres and areas to find something that echoes with uh, my ambition as a person, as an artist, and bring that into the world of portfolios and ArtStation pages, for instance.
Mm.
It's a lot of ArtStation focus, but I think that is from what I've heard, art directors and recruiters are looking through ArtStation to find their next colleague within the art sphere.
Yeah. So you would say that recruiters, they actively look at ArtStation to find
Yeah,
artists that are available.
maybe not recruiters. They might use LinkedIn or whatever, or the platforms that the companies they work for are providing the tools that they have to find new colleagues. But I, for instance, who is an art director, I'm not really recruiting myself. I would look through, if I would sort of from a blank page look for a certain position, I would scroll through ArtStation the first day, Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. And it also shows you the level of skill that you actually need to have to get hired by these studios.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, you have to match the skills of their artists at least,
Yeah. Look.
especially when you look at the junior artists.
Yeah. ArtStation is a beautiful place to like be inspired by things and get ideas. But the next level of scanning through that page would be to find maybe the tutorials or the material that you need to study to learn the craft, right? So the next level is like I'm inspired, but then I also want to educate myself. So you can find links or uh, paths towards the area that you want to explore and learn about. So it's all exposed. It's all out there. You don't need to sort of. You just need the time and the drive.
Got it, got it. So I think we have a few more questions from the audience.
Cool.
So go ahead.
Okay, let's move on with Irfan. What key skills do you expect from a product designer that you want to hire for a game product rather than other digital products?
So we make a difference between a designer and an artist, for instance. So the designer decides not necessarily the same things. They talk about gameplay, they talk about story, and in incorporating story within, like bringing meaning to the world, both in the flow of levels and also in the story and in the atmosphere of the game and the where you can and cannot walk and in like gameplay decisions that you like design parts of the gameplay, for instance, that you write down basically and illustrate, and then the artist try to make this happen visually. So the key skills as a designer would be know design, know the rules of design, and exercise that, like practice that in as many ways as you possibly can. If you want a specific type of game, you study those games and analyze them and find where you resonate and build that skill set up upon your own what you already know. A good artist would be, I would say, one thing about what I would need artists to do from my perspective. I would say if you're a strong 2D artist, study 3D. If you're a strong 3D artist, study 2D. That's just a short note that I thought I should bring up. So study what you don't know, like make sure that you grow. Because you can get up to a certain level and then you sort of move very little from that level moving forward when you are at a certain like level quality. But if you are doing the same thing all the time, you are developing very slowly. So try to bring in other skills, other perspectives upon your like the pile of stuff that you know. So you become wider and more of an like a person who knows only the things that you can know, right?
I guess there's not much use to overstudy things that you're already good at. I would say it's better to branch out a bit.
I think that would be a good thing, and I would say like the relationship, not like you shouldn't go and be like be a chef or anything. That might help you as a 2D artist, but maybe not. There are closer neighboring areas where you can sort of build bridges. So I would say 2D and 3D is a good bridge because as a 3D artist studying 2D, you learn about lighting, composition, and all the rules areas that you know as a 2D artist. So you can bring that into your 3D and bring even more life, more layers of quality to your work, and the other way around. If you're a singular 2D artist, I would recommend to take a look at the 3D and see how that can help you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping anybody now because we have Blender. You can learn stuff for free. It's open source. Lots of tutorials on YouTube.
Yeah.
So my next question is basically, about networking.
Mm.
So, networking often plays a significant role in career growth. How
Yeah.
can game artists effectively network and establish valuable connections within the Swedish gaming industry? What role does networking play in advancing one's career in this field?
Mm. Yeah, good question. Many ways to answer. It's a thing that many game developers are struggling with as individuals or young people wanting to enter, or even not young people, people wanting to enter the industry is like some of the treats of being a developer sitting by the computer alone, maybe communicating with friends online and whatever. You might be slightly a bit introvert, right? So it's hard for you to get out on the field and go out and shake hands and mingle and talk to people like that. That could be the greatest fear for you of. But I would say my experience from being in those environments in Sweden, and not other places that are, those people are also kind of the same. It's like they're also nervous. They were also introverted, but when you get to speak about the things that you love with someone who shares your passion, you will get along. Like it should be fine. And sometimes you need to overcome the fears or the struggle of just meeting people and talking to them, learning from them, to be able to be recognized and maybe remembered the next time you might end up in applying for a job. For instance, you might have met someone before, and that person will like take a second look at you, since you've met before. So just shaking hands and saying hi at some point could make like a huge difference. So that step, getting that step done, like shaking hands with people and saying hi and being like, hi, I'm friendly, I'm a good person, that can help a lot. So the environments, like the practical environments, I'm sitting in Malmö, Sweden. It's a southern city where you have like, it's a, for the size of the city, it's one of the biggest game development cities in Sweden. You have many companies of different scales. And there is also a thing called Game Habitat. It's initiative that makes sure that the glue between the companies in the region is being fresh. So they create events that you can join, like playing Swedish brännboll, for instance, or meeting up at the pub or a bar, and they have education like they have seminars. We have there's a house where game companies are sharing offices, and in this house you can sort of go to a seminar talking about women in games, for instance, and get to meet other people, other women who wants to join the industry or are already working in this industry and help out and inspire each other and learn about things. So finding out what these events are, and if they're free, just join them, and talk to people and learn from people. Just listen if you don't want to talk.
Yeah, got it. And there are events that are women only, so that yeah, it's a really good thing to check out if you're a woman and you're trying to get into the industry.
Yeah, we are actively trying to find ways to get like more women in here because it's needed. More and more people, like 50% of the world's population who play games are men, and the other 50 are women, or and like any other identity that you have. And why shouldn't the representation be the same on the other side, on the development side? I see no reason for it not to be.
No, it's true. So my next question is basically a bit of a well, we can say it's key considerations for getting hired in the industry. So the question is, what are the essential factors aspiring game artists to try to keep in mind when seeking employment opportunities in the Swedish gaming industry? Are there specific tips or insights that you can share to help them succeed in their job search?
Yeah. I would say know the job, like read up on if there's a position called, I don't know, concept artist. You need to read up what is a concept artist doing in the game industry right now. You can just Google it and look at the top answers there and get an idea, to make sure that you grasp what a concept artist is doing in the industry. Like a level designer or an environment artist or um, character artist or whatever. Make sure that you know what it is, and that is one thing, like to know what you apply for. Another thing is to make yourself stand out. You can like make sure that you have such as a good, like a relevant and good portfolio as possible. Like you should be able to read from the works that you share what you are interested in, what skills you have, and what you want to do. The quality can be, as I said, like the best portfolios out there aren't necessarily the best colleagues that you might find. So you need to also make sure that you share some of your personal traits, like your work experience and recommendations from other people. So that can also be a thing. You don't need to be the best artist or the best level designer to get a job at all. You need to be like good enough and available and to know to be able to explain what you want to do.
That's a really good answer. So we're coming up at the end of this webinar. We have a few minutes left. Are there any final words or insights that you would like to share with the audience?
That's a tough one. It's good. It's like I'm on a roll, but I think I've answered so many questions already. So I think I've covered so many things. But being an educator, I guess, like, yeah, I'm getting back to the curiosity and the joy of learning, like the joy of growing together with people. Would be the main keys. You can learn like any skill, you can learn any program, you can learn any specific details about your profession, or you might say that this studio are following these protocols or having these routines and whatever. But you should always be ready to adapt your routines to the position that you're looking for, and try to find in as many ways as possible. You can maybe find an artist that you know that works at this studio that might be like a friendly person, and you might ask them like, what do they find important, what did this person what has this person working for this studio identified as important, for being in the role that the person is, right? So like this, like some detective work, not being too offensive and barging into people's personal spheres, but professionally curious. I guess curiosity is the thing. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep trying. If you fail, that's like, it's sad and it's hard because you put a lot of work into your thing and you spend a lot of time. But yeah, I failed so many times, and I still fail at things, so that it's not a big deal. Like, fail and get up, back at it.
Yeah, like the good old Rocky says, just get back
Yeah,
up.
get back at it. That is quote. That's I don't know.
No,
I forgot
I
exactly what
forget
he
it.
said.
The quote is something like, "It's not about how hard they hit you; it's about how hard you can get it hit and keep
Yeah,
getting back up." Yeah,
yeah. That's a treat that not many of us are taking care of. So that's
no,
a good
for
tip.
sure. So, Jakob, where can people reach you if they have a question or if they want to connect?
Yeah, sure. I would say LinkedIn could be a thing. Direct messaging. Um, and I guess the link is here. Yeah,
There we go.
I would
Well,
recommend that. So DM me if you have questions.
that's really good. That's really good. Well, Jakob, I think that's about all the time we have. I want to say thank you for this extremely interesting webinar, and thank you for answering all these questions. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for providing the platform, and thank you for making up such a good set of questions as well. And also thank you guys who asked in the chat as well.
Yeah. I'm happy it was useful. So,
Cool.
everybody, take care, everybody, and see you at the next webinar.
Thank
Peace
you so
out.
much.
Peace
And
out.
good luck.
Thank you. Have
Bye.
a good night. Bye, guys.